In this video, we're going to take another look at random numbers. The previous example did random numbers in a console program. This time we're going to do random numbers in a Monogame program. So let's go and create a new Monogame project. And it's going to be a Monogame Windows project, and I'm going to call this one Demo. I'm going to put Monogame on the end of this one. Okay, so we've got all of the usual comments when we start up. I'm going to take a second or two here just to get rid of those. Okay. So if I just run this program right now, I'm going to get cornflower blue for a background, and that's going to be it until I close the window. So that's all that the default program does here. What I want to do, though, is I want to generate a random color for my background. So we're going to do a color variable, and I'm going to call it back color. Okay. And then I'm going to initialize it right here. So, well, I also want to do my random initialization. So let's go up here and let's do using. Okay. And now I can create a variable of type random. Okay. And now I can initialize them. So let's go down here to initialize, back color, and I'm going to set the R component, red, equals rand dot next, a number in the range from 0 to 255, not including the 256. Then I'm going to do the same thing for my other two components, the green, capital G, and the blue, capital B. Now I'm getting an error message on all three of these here, and if you pause the mouse over it, it says it cannot implicitly convert int to byte. Okay, so this call to rand.next returns an integer, which is 4 bytes. I need to tell it to basically throw away the top 3 bytes and just keep the bottom one, the low order byte. So it will fit into a byte variable. Actually, it would have anyway, but the compiler is not smart enough to know that. So this will give me a random red, a random green, and a random blue. And then if I don't go down here, though, and change this, I'm still going to get cornflower blue every time. So this needs to be back color. And let's go ahead and run it. And we get a random kind of pink color. Let's run it again. We should get a completely different starting color. The odds are 1 in 16 million we'd get the same thing, although that one's actually pretty close. Let's run it again. See if we can get something other than pink this time. Okay, so that's kind of a gray, grayish brown. Run it a couple more times here. Maybe we can get some blues or greens somewhere along the way. So that's kind of a green. Let's do one more. Okay. So we get a different set of random numbers every time. And that's usually good when you're doing some kind of a game program. You don't want to have the same thing come up every single time. But when you're debugging your program, you may want to have the same numbers every time, so you can get consistent results. If you want to do that, all you have to do is put in a number here for your, what's called a seed for the random number generator, and it will use that number to create a random sequence, and it will always start at the same place and continue with the same set of numbers. So if I put a 0 in there, And you can put any number in there that you want to. Let's go ahead and run it. And let's see what we get. So we get kind of a grayish green, I think. If I run this again, I get the same grayish green. And that is not just close to the same color, that is precisely the same color, because we're getting the same three values for R and G and B. And I'm running it a third time here, and we get exactly the same thing. So let's prove that they're the same numbers. Let's print them out. We'll do console.writeLine. And we're going to do a format string here, and it's similar to what we did in Python. So that'll be argument 0, get printed out first, then argument 1, and then argument 2. So that's my format string, so it's expecting 3 numbers to be printed out, and it's going to get backcolor.r, backcolor.g, backcolor.b. Okay? And so if I run this 2 or 3 or 4 times in a row, I should always get the same 3 numbers here printed out. So let's go ahead and run the program. And when you do a console.writeLine in a Monogame program, it sends it to the output window. If the output window is not visible, just go up here to your View tab and choose Output, and there's a keyboard shortcut for it as well. And we're going to see all this stuff that the compiler generates, but somewhere in here, we're going to see what the red and the green and the blue components are. And it looks like right now I'm getting 185, 209, and 196. So let's go ahead and stop the program. And let's run it again. We'll get the same, grayish green color that we got before, and we will get the same numbers that we got before. And this is the red, this is the green, this is the blue. And the green is the largest number here, which makes sense. You would expect if the numbers were all the same, we're going to get a shade of gray. These are close to the same. It looks like they're all within 24 units of one another. And so we get something that's close to gray. We've got low amounts, relatively speaking. Lowest amount of red, a little bit more blue, and then a little bit more green. So we're going to get a little bit more of a green. And every time we run it, unless I go up here and change this, we're going to get the same sequence of numbers. So that's a useful thing to do when you're debugging. Most of the time, however, when you're actually running your program, you want different random numbers to be generated every time. So if you want to generate a number for colors, for random colors, do from 0 to 256. If you want to randomly put something on the screen, you can generate an X coordinate by going from 0 up to whatever the width of your screen is, and you can generate a Y component by going from 0 up to whatever the height of your screen is. So these random numbers come in handy a lot when you're doing game programs.